Okay, so I said that I get back to this comment that somebody asked about gay women or gay officers. I think they referring to gay women working a women institution. Okay, so I want to say, like, first of all, we all know that when it comes to the equality and non-discrimination, I would say sexual orientation alone should not disqualify anyone from performing their professional duties. So first of all, we know we can't discriminate when it comes to somebody's sexual orientation or when it comes to somebody's sexual preference. That's on any job. You just can't discriminate. Now, this the thing. I don't see a problem with gay women working in a female's prison, because look at the guys that's heterosexual that love the women and they like women. So the same things can happen on both ends, whether it's a gay woman or heterosexual dude, because at the end of the day, the females get pregnant in there by the officers as well. So you really can't discriminate when it comes to a sexual preference. You can't discriminate. Sexual orientation alone should not disqualify anyone from performing their professional duties. Just as heterosexual male officers work with male inmates without assumption, the same principles should apply to gay female officers working with the female inmates. One of the things that is expected of an officer when they work in any prison is professionalism. The correctional officers are trained to act professionally, regardless of personal feelings or sexual orientation. Their ability to maintain boundaries and uphold the rules of the facility is what should matter. So correctional officers are trained to act professionally, regardless of personal feelings or sexual orientation. Their ability to maintain boundaries and uphold the rules of the facility is what should matter. That's what should matter most. And then we have inside of the prison the safety and concerns. Now, critics may argue that there could be risks if sexual attraction is involved. These risks can occur with heterosexual officers as well. Oversight policies and appropriate measures such as monitoring and supervision are typically in place to address any potential misconduct, regardless of the individual's orientation. We have to look at context and accountability. I'm at work, y'all. That's why I'm looking around. Got to keep an eye on things. I'm a security guard, so I'm at the plaza today. So the focus remains on whether an officer behaves appropriately in their role. If issues arise, they should be addressed based on actions, not assumptions tied to sexual orientation. So as long as we keep in perspective, number one, equality and non-discrimination. Number two, professionalism. Number three, safety and concerns. And number four, context and accountability. Then there shouldn't be a problem where any officer work, whether it's a gay officer working in a female institution or whether it's a heterosexual working in a female institution or a heterosexual working in a male institution. It don't matter your sexual orientation as long as you conduct yourself in a manner conducive to what is required of you as an officer. Because there's a lot of gay officers that works in the prison. And those officers know how to conduct themselves. And 9 times out of 10, they already married to other women or they already in relationships. They don't come to the prison looking for relationships. And I ain't going to dog them because I've known some gay officers that worked in the prison and I didn't see them messing with the inmates, period. What I saw was a lot of guys messing with the ladies in the prison, but I never saw the gay officers messing with the prisoners. I've never seen that. Now, yeah, I've seen a gay dominant officer. She was flirting with a feminine girl. I've seen that before. And also, let me recant that because there was an officer in Lower Correctional Institution. She fell in love with an inmate that was not gay. She fell in love with this inmate that was not gay. And she was head over heels for this prisoner, and this prisoner wasn't even gay. And I think the girl was getting ready to go home, and the dominant female officer really liked this girl, and she wound up killing herself behind this prisoner, this inmate prisoner. Now, I think the girl played around with her a little bit, getting stuff from her and leading her on while she was in the prison, you know, trying to get through her prison sentence, just trying to survive. You feel what I'm saying? And she was playing around. This was an older, dominant woman. And the prisoner was a young girl. So when it came time for this young girl to go home, that girl know she wasn't about women. She know she wasn't going to be with that older, dominant chick. She had a man at home. And when it was time for the girl to EOS, that's end of sentence, time for her to go home, she went home to her man. And this officer wound up killing herself behind this girl. You know, but it don't just happen with the women, it happened with the men and the women. It was a man that killed himself behind a prisoner that he fell in love with. So the thing is this, you know, going into the institution, you have to be strong-minded. I don't know how they train you guys or what they say when you're in training or what they tell the officers when they're in training, but a lot of them, you know, they weak-minded. And you got to understand that criminals, they very strong-minded, man. Even to be doing time in prison the way that we did time, like even with me doing 27 years, you know, that's going to take a strong-minded person. So it's going to be a bit hard to break me on certain things. A lot of things that can probably break you guys out here won't break a prisoner. When we go to court and we hear the time that we have to do and the stuff we have to face in the prison, man, we get muscles. We get emotional muscles. We get spiritual muscles. We just get muscles out of nowhere. I ain't just talking about physical. I'm talking about we get strong. We get strong-minded. We get strong in our emotions, you know, because we have to get built up in order to endure what we're facing. But then when the civilian person come in and you're working, you know, you're not as strong as we are. We've already had to condition our mind to prepare ourselves for what lies ahead. You're coming in there, your expectation is that you going home every day. So you get involved with a prisoner, an officer get involved with a prisoner, you're unequally yoked. Because first of all, the Bible tells you, how can two walk together unless they agree? We're not on the same level. My mind way stronger than yours. And you may think that you strong-minded, but you ain't that strong-minded if you let a prisoner talk you into being with them. And you already free. Because first of all, you weak-minded because you risking your freedom, you risking your family, you risking your job and everything else you built in life. Because if you get caught with that prisoner, you're going to jail. If a man get a woman pregnant in there, he going to prison. Whether she consent to it or not, you going to prison. They gonna charge you. And even with the females, you gonna lose your job. You can go to prison too. You can go to jail. You can get charged too, bringing us in these contraband, bringing us in all this stuff. You guys ain't thinking about y'all job when y'all do this type of stuff. So you got to be weak-minded. If I was an officer, there's no way in the world that I'm finna risk everything for a prisoner. I'm not going to risk my freedom and my family. I'm not going to risk my job to bring a prisoner in some stuff or even have a relationship with a prisoner. But see, it's lost for you guys, but it's gain for us because we already in the prison. So to have an officer is gain for us because we having access to things we wouldn't normally have out here in the free world because you guys bring it to us. So that's why I say an officer must be real weak-minded to deal with a prisoner, man. We are unequally yoked when it comes to our mental. But as far as discriminating against an officer because of sexual orientation and not allowing an officer that's gay to work inside of a woman's prison, no, you can't do that. You know, as long as that officer is upholding her duties in a professional manner, that you can't discriminate against where that officer works. And that's the same with anybody. no matter what your sexual orientation is. You can't discriminate against a person because of their preference. That goes for anybody or any job. As long as that person upholds their roles and their standards and what's required of them at that job or institution or wherever they working, you can't discriminate. Can't discriminate. I just wanted to answer that question. You know, really, you can't discriminate of handicap or none of that stuff. Like, there's an officer that works at the institution that's handicapped. And I believe I've seen one that's mentally disabled, but they still allowed that person to work there. And he wasn't a mean officer. He was a pretty good officer. He stayed to himself. We respected him. You know, we didn't treat him differently because of his handicap. He treated us like somebody. We treated him like he was somebody. We gave him the utmost respect because he didn't treat us like dogs and try to talk to us in any kind of way. So we respect him, and that's with everybody. No matter who you are, you respect us, we're going to respect you. So that's my take on gay female officers working in a women's institution. Y'all be blessed now. Yeah, I'll be back with more.